Hello, everyone, and welcome to The Wanderer's Guide, the YouTube channel that's dedicated to helping you experience the most epic adventures ever. I'm your host, Ed Preston, and I know some of the young people out there are probably wondering, how did an OG like you get a gig like this? Well, for more than 40 years, I was blessed to be employed in the outdoor recreation industry as a professional guide. I've retired from leading groups now, but during my career, I took visitors to some of the most iconic national parks in the world: the Grand Canyon, Zion, Bryce, Arches, and Mesa Verde. Of course, these parks are referred to as iconic because, well, they're the very same parks that every visitor to the Southwest has on their bucket list. And consequently, to be quite honest, they're also pretty crowded. People on the tours used to ask me all the time, well, since you live in Sedona, where are your favorite places to visit? My standard reply was, yeah, I have a few, but you've probably never heard of any of them. It was kind of a joke, and it always got a good laugh, but it was also kind of true. During my time off, I wanted to get as far away from the crowds as possible, so I went looking for solitude on backroads less traveled and seldom seen trails where the crowds disappeared and the land whispered of hidden secrets. Over time, those off-duty explorations slowly turned into something bigger than I ever expected. The Wanderer's Guide grew out of that journey. You see, long before there were GPS apps or digital maps, I was collecting places the same way that some people collect baseball cards or Beanie Babies. And if you're one of the Beanie Baby people, I hope that worked out well for you. With a degree in anthropology, specializing in Southwest Native American cultures, it was always the ancient sites that pulled me in the strongest. Cliff dwellings tucked into canyon walls, rock art panels hidden just off the highway, and places where human history is literally written in stone. For decades, I built a personal database of these ancient sites. Just for myself, really. I didn't have any thoughts about publishing a book or anything like that. It was simply how I kept track of places that I wanted to remember. And in the beginning, most of those places were archaeological sites. But as we'll see in a minute, not all of them. I spent 3 decades researching the archaeological sites using every resource available at the time. I dug through archaeological abstracts in the university libraries and pored over historical maps in dusty used bookstores. I also learned a tremendous amount from other outdoor professionals who shared my love of these places. Other guides, archaeologists, and park rangers, through casual conversations in between my own outdoor adventures. And then I cross-referenced the academic papers with all the field notes, so to speak. Over time, all that research led me to document the locations of more than 6,000 ancient ruins and rock art panels, not just in the Southwest, but across the entire United States. The exact methods and resources I used for that research are the subject of my next video, so stay tuned for that because it's going to be coming out soon. While ancient sites were always at the heart of my database, as I mentioned already, it wasn't limited to just ruins and rock art. That's because I also collected slot canyons using the same deep dive approach, studying drainage systems, sandstone layers, and places where slot canyons could form. I looked at historical references and talked to a lot of hikers who loved hiking in slot canyons. I marked my favorite campsites, scenic overlooks, and photography hotspots. These were all places that I either wanted to visit or wanted to go back to. In 2016, I decided to expand what had already become, quite honestly, rather large database into something even bigger. That's when I began adding every trail I had ever hiked, along with a bunch that I hadn't hiked yet but wanted to. Again, not for publication, but this time as a gift for my niece Anna, who shares my love of wild places. But back then she hadn't spent much time at all in the Southwest, and I wanted her to be able to explore confidently long after I was gone because I knew she was going to want to. I also wanted her to understand the full context of what had led me to seek out these places. So what had once been a personal archive became something closer to a complete field guide to the Southwest as I knew it. Then, in 2020, part of that database was published for the first time. The GPS data I had collected became an attachment to an ebook called The Wanderer's Guide to Hiking Sedona. That book included GPS tracks and hikes that ranged from popular classics to places very few people knew about at the time, even locals. For example, it included the now famous Subway Cave. Back then, it was rarely visited because almost nobody knew where it was. After the book was released, it quickly became one of the most popular hikes in Sedona. The Sedona book was an instant success, and since then, the Wanderer's Guide has grown into a full series of 6 ebooks, each focus on a specific region. There is, of course, Sedona, but there's also northern Arizona, southeast Utah, Moab, Utah, south central Utah, and southwest Utah. And those are just the ebooks that exist so far, with more on the way. Each book combines GPS data, hiking routes, background history, and practical navigation tools designed to help people explore confidently, and this is important, responsibly. Best of all, these are one-time purchases, not recurring subscriptions. And that brings us to this YouTube channel. At the end of 2025, I made the decision to revamp the channel, which, quite honestly, again, had been neglected during the writing of the first 6 ebooks. Going forward, every video posted here will connect viewers directly to the ebooks. So when photos appear on the screen, you'll see chapter and page numbers just like you have in this video. Those chapter and page numbers are really for people who own the books, so they can quickly and easily find the corresponding GPS track if they want to visit that location themselves. But, and this is also important, you don't need to own any of the books to enjoy this channel. That's because every video is also going to be packed with the kind of background information you'd normally only get on a guided tour. Cultural context, landscape history, and explanations of why these places are important. My focus has never been on gatekeeping secrets so that the locals can have all the best places for themselves. The places I share are on publicly managed land, so it's perfectly legal for anyone to visit. I've always believed that informed, prepared visitors, people who understand the landscape and its history, are far better stewards than people who are just, checking off bucket list items without any context. Archaeological sites, we should mention that. They are, in particular, fragile by nature. By definition, they're slowly disappearing whether anyone ever visits them or not. Documentation, education, and thoughtful visitation helps people value these places while they still exist. That philosophy is always going to be at the core of everything I do going forward. So what can you expect from this channel? Well, first of all, real hikes, not staged adventures. Real photos, not AI creations. Archaeological sites explained with cultural and environmental context. Scenic destinations ranging from remote backcountry to roadside wonders. Practical navigation insight, not hype. And stories drawn from decades of first-hand experience wandering all over the American West. All of it intended to help you have the most epic adventures ever. So if you love adventure and exploration as much as I do, if you love understanding why places matter, I invite you to follow me. I know all the best places. And if you found this video to be helpful, be sure to click the like and subscribe button so that you get informed whenever I release a new video. Until next time, happy trails, and I hope to see you out there.